ago, in the English-controlled Dublin, they called it the Pale, and everything outside was beyond the Pale. Full of Irish and unthinkable for them, maybe. But out in the country round Tipperary way, it's easy on the eye, real easy. Careering along the quaint highways and byways of the old Emerald Isle. For some of us, the old country is a treat for sure, and you never know what delight waits round the next bend. These are gypsies, tinkers they call them here, hence the origin long, long ago of the tinker's curse. You've got to be careful, they tell me, because they still do it. Place a curse on you, that is, if you displease them in this land of the origin, of many a saying, many a legend, and for that matter, many of us. My mission is to fossick around in the murky past of the old sod, try to find the origins of the Brennan clan. It's a boom industry here. They call it finding green roots. It seems that everyone these days wants to know where they came from in a country where one of the running jokes is that the visiting Aussie felt right at home because, he said, all the shop signs were in Australian. And in a country whose history dates back some 7,000 years, you never know what you might turn up, especially if you start delving into that past, and especially if you're Australian. On, lads! We'll whip the lot of them! Now that goes double if your name's Kelly, for in my search I'd enlisted the help of an expert historian and fellow West Australian, now living in Ireland, Professor Bob Rees. Now he had an inkling he'd find a Brennan in Fethard, Tipperary. He didn't, but he found the man who found Ned Kelly's dad.
We're definite on that, and for the following reasons. That when John Kelly had his last child, when the last child was born, that's Grace.
That's in Victoria.
In Victoria. Grace Kelly is a sister now of Ned Kelly. He writes down himself that he's from Moyglass, Tipperary, Ireland.
Now local boyo Terry Cunningham had even tracked down the descendants, he says, of the very cattle Ned's dad helped rustle. The ones, he says, he dobbed his mate in over.
It seems to be that he was squealing and the pigs were squealing.
A good start. He found the police report of outrage for pig stealing. Ned's dad was finally convicted of and transported for, in the very field where Ned's dad and the Kelly tribe lived. This was around the time of the Great Potato Famine of 1845, when 1 million died and 1 million emigrated, when they shipped John Kelly off to Van Diemen's Land. As they say here, he'd got his visa. True, it was all fascinating stuff, as was the Ned Kelly Museum in town, but nary a Brennan to be found. So, like you have to do if you know nothing about the tree that grew you, it's back to the beginning, and this little tyke, son and heir, Luke Lawrence, 5. There's me, of course, the eldest of 7. Then there's Dad, the youngest of 5 brothers with 2 sisters. His name, Dinny or Dennis. Then there's Pop, born 1891. He died when I was 3. His name, Dennis. Now that's where we run out of pictures and memories, but not Dennis's. And here at the Batty Library, it's enough to drive you batty to find out that Pop's father's name was Dennis. Now he was married in St Mary's Cathedral here in Perth in 1888. He was a law clerk, but it's worse if I haven't made a mistake in there. I found out that Dennis, the father of Dennis, was the son of, you guessed it, Dennis. Now he was a sergeant, and he was married here in Perth as well in 1856, and he was stationed at the barracks. It's rumoured he had a part in quelling the Eureka Stockade, my grandfather's grandfather. And mercifully, after 4 generations of Dennis's, I discovered his father was a William, a farmer, and maybe it was him came out from Ireland.
You had a William Brennan, you were interested in Williams there, and Dennis is a rare name in County Clare, but it's a common name amongst them elsewhere. There was a Dennis.
Ignatius Cleary runs the Heritage Centre in Corofin, County Clare. He's traced the families of Mary Durack, Sidney Nolan, Fred Daly, you name them. But can he find William Brennan?
There are a lot of Brennans in County Clare. There were Brennans, there were pilots on the River Shannon early on for boats going up to Limerick from Loophead between Clare and Kerry. And the Brennans were very famous there. They lived in Scattery Island at that time. But they're spread, they're nearly everywhere now. You can find them in every county.
I noticed the phone book's full of them, so it might be a bit hard to try and find my family with the scant information.
Well, yes, but oftentimes you'd be surprised, lucky, when people come lucky. We talk about McInerney's. We have details here of 2,365 families of McMahons alone, and of 2,335 families of McNamara's alone.
And Brennan's he has hundreds, descended, he says, from the Irish lords dispossessed by the English to become rapparees or highwaymen, but the very ones he doesn't have, and neither could I find them among the Brennans I bumped into along the way.
It is of a brave young highwayman the story I will tell. His name is Willie Brennan, in the mountains he did dwell. Upon the Kilworth mountains he began his wild career, and many a wealthy nobleman before him shook with fear. And it's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, all brave.
Now we've always been Brennans and fierce proud of it. I was getting a touch testy as I repaired to O'Shea's to ponder the next move. Willie Brennan, they cried as the Guinness was poured. Now wasn't he the famous bandit? And wasn't there this song about him? I don't know whether this Brennan was mine, but I'll claim him, because I'm telling you for sure that as they sang, it really did feel peculiar queer.
The mountains did repair, did young Brennan on the moor. Brennan on the moor, oh, all brave and undaunted was young Brennan on the moor.
Very good. Come on. Good man.